new year, and the Equinox EV is still absolutely cranking. The 2025 Equinox EV from Chevy, the LT has a starting price around $34,995, and it's got the best-in-class 17.7-inch diagonal standard touchscreen display. You go to Chevy.com/Equinox EV. Check it all out, man. Check out all the product info. Check out the lease offers. Check out the amazing deals. You're going to love this machine. It's got room. It doesn't compromise with the interior. Ample cargo room and convenient storage solutions. This Equinox EV from Chevy just keeps going, fellas.
Really does. It's another year, 2025. Chevy's still, rocking with us. So shout out to Chevy, Chevrolet, one of the greatest American car brands of all time. They've just been doing it for years upon years, and now in the electric world, they are really pioneering this new venture into a whole new, world of vehicling. So I'm very excited for a new great year with Chevy. We got a great show today. A little bit longer show. We kind of get into it. We haven't talked in a while. We've only been doing like one or two shows the last couple of weeks. So talking about our favorite schooling, our favorite school,
favorite professors,
and then we get into a lot of golf talk, but
education.
Handyman stuff, education. I actually really enjoyed that conversation. The reasons why we got into this business and the reasons why we ended up here talking about Chevy. Really fun stuff. It's nice to look back. I think everyone can kind of relate to it, where like you're sitting there at your job and you're like, how did I end up at this spot? What kind of brought me here? And that's kind of what we get into.
It's nice. It's really nice. Also, the Equinox EV is very nice. They got an EPA estimated 319 miles of range on a full charge. Chevy.com/Equinox EV. Check it out. Hit that link. You're going to like what you see. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Did we change the Tour Championship?
Yeah,
oh my God, did we change the Tour Championship?
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our great friends at Chevy and Chevrolet. It is the year 2025. This is calendar year number 9 of the Foreplay brand and podcast. We did our first show ever at the very beginning of February 2017. So we have just flipped that calendar over for the 9th time in Foreplay's existence. We're almost at a decade, gentlemen.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's a long time. It's a long time to be doing anything.
It is. And we've often talked about like people's attention spans with their favorite shows or content that they consume. Usually that lasts 3 or 4 years at the most. Some of the best shows of all time, like 5 seasons, where you're just like, I'm sick of this shit. Done.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to ruin the storyline. I don't need to see this character story arc any longer. I do not care. And now you're talking almost a decade of people somehow just being invested and interested in our lives or like our golf games and what we've got going on next. Pretty interesting when you think about just the evolution of how Barstool has stayed kind of relevant over this long of a period. I mean, we're 9 years. Barstool's like 25 years at this point. It's fucking insane to me.
I believe Seinfeld was 9 seasons, if I'm right. Maybe, and Friends as well. They were right around those.
I just
maybe
looked.
It's coming,
Office
coming to an end.
The Office did 9 seasons as well. So it's
but that fell off after season 7 when Michael Scott leaves and they brought in a bunch of weird shit going on.
Yeah, it really made it solidly through 6 or so seasons, and then it was kind of fucking weird. They had who was the one boss who was a total creepo that they brought in for a while there?
Robert California.
I actually found some of those episodes to be really funny.
Me too.
I did too. They were hit or miss. They were a little bit hit or miss.
The pool party at his house.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, year number 9. I looked up. We did predictions at last year's first episode of the year. We did a bunch of predictions, so I've got several more for this year as well. But I went back and looked at what those predictions were. We had like 11 of them.
Whoa.
First one was how many starts will Tiger Woods make throughout the year? I don't remember exactly what everyone's answer was, but I believe we were a little bit short. He technically made 5 starts, 4 really, because one of them was a WD. He played Genesis, withdrew into paramedics truck, and they kind of took him off of there. And then he made the cut at the Masters and finished 60th. And then he went MC. Didn't play the rest of the year. Didn't play the Hero. He technically played the PNC. I don't know if we count that as a start, especially because they got Bernhard Longer teeing off from the forward tees. But I don't think we were correct on the Tiger Woods prediction going into 24.
I think we were probably around 6 or 7, our guesses, because he had said he was going to play one every month, and I think we kind of did the math on that, and I think we landed around 6. I mean, we probably could have went back and looked, but I definitely think it was more than I remember. Like saying that he played or tried to attempt in 5 or 6 events is way more than I thought. Like my brain is allowing me to understand how his year went.
I think the tricky part about it was that his performances in the majors where he didn't make the cut, where he was out of it so quickly that it felt like he didn't even start. It wasn't even like we were sweating out the cut, really. It was sort of he just kind of fell off. I was looking back. Somehow I stumbled upon, and my YouTube algorithm gave me the replay of Xander's winning the Open Championship. And the Open Championships, like, YouTube page actually does a pretty good job of, they do like about a 50-minute or so, almost like documentary on each major. And I remember like Tiger 2 or 3 holes in made like a 40-footer or something for birdie, and he was 1 under through like 3, and we were all like, "Oh shit, here we go!" And then he shot like 15 over par. Missed the cut.
I'm with Frankie on that one. 5 sounds like more than I would have anticipated, so I bet our guesses were around then. It just also feels like it's been so long since he started. Like you mentioned the Open Championship, but before that, it's like we're talking about the Masters. That was 7 months, 8 months ago. So it really doesn't feel like he's played that recently outside of the PNC, obviously. But I'm happy with 5. Now living in the future, I'm happy that he made 5 starts. He had another surgery as well, which sucks, but 5 I'm happy with.
It's just interesting even looking what the questions were to kind of get a look back on what the mindset was and what was top of mind. One of them was, will a live player play in a PGA Tour event? Clearly there was nowhere near that occurring in any way. Another one was, will live still even exist by the year's end? Yep, sure does. In fact, I would say on those 2 fronts, absolutely nothing has changed. If anything, it feels like they might be, in the exact same spot, more so than closer together.
I mean, we did get the showdown, which is as close as you're going to get, where you had like Rory versus Brooks Koepka and Bryson. That, I'm not going to say that is them playing on the PGA Tour, but the PGA Tour was promoting an event in which a live player was playing in.
They weren't head in the sand acting like live doesn't even exist.
Correct.
Just being like, what are you talking about? We don't, like, huh? We only acknowledge the PGA Tour.
It's not a win. It's not a yes, but it's right there. Pretty close.
What are we calling promoting it? Were there social channels promoting the showdown? I honestly can't remember.
I'm pretty sure they were.
Okay.
Like the PGA Tour social handles were like, this is it. Like tonight, the showdown. 20,000 people are watching.
Right. We got no concurrence. We got nobody watching this showdown, but we got live and PGA Tour players playing together. Great.
I remember during the event being like, I wonder if they're even going to acknowledge that it's like 2 guys from live and 2 guys versus Tour, if they're just going to say their individual names. But right away they were like, and after the tee flip or whatever the hell they did, they were like, and live is like, has the honor on the tee. And then they kind of on the broadcast talked up live versus Tour the whole time. So that's a good point. We got closer. At least they're sort of acknowledging it. Another one was, will Jay Monahan still be commissioner by year's end? I think we all said no.
Surprising that he is.
He remains.
Crazy.
He remains. I know. Will Greg Norman still work for live? I would say that was kind of a no. I mean, I know he's technically still there, but he's not CEO, or they at least acknowledge that he's not going to be CEO anymore. So that was kind of I think that one would have to go to no. He technically will not be in the same capacity.
No, he certainly
he didn't make it.
No, he didn't make it. He doesn't have the same standing that he did before, which has got to drive him crazy.
I think one we were not even close on was, who will be announced the 2025 USA Ryder Cup team captain. I don't think any of us guessed Keegan Bradley in January of last year.
That's for sure. This is tough without our answers. I'll be completely honest. We don't have any of the answers, but we're guessing what we said. I would say that I definitely did not say Keegan Bradley. I definitely said Tiger Woods, which was the shock of the century that Tiger Woods is not captaining this team. I think we even threw in like a Phil Mickelson there, where like we were probably parlaying the live was going to join with PGA Tour, the whole entire deal. Phil was going to come back, be in good graces, maybe even take over the team. But Keegan Bradley, man, did you see that quote where he said that he like dreams about Bethpage every night? It's like, the guy cannot wait to get to Bethpage, New York.
Got a mustache now, right? I saw the mustache. Mustache looked good, I thought.
Yeah.
He could rock that for sure.
He's trying a bunch of different things going into this Ryder Cup.
I'm a little nervous about the Ryder Cup already. Already nervous about it. I watched that fucking documentary, man, that European Una Familia documentary, and it was insane. It just made it feel impossible for anyone to defeat these people. And then they're just running it back. They've got Luke Donald. He had these guys bawling their eyes out in front of each other like a week before the damn thing even started. He's just a machine. And I get Keegan's as good as we're going to get when it comes to this. I really believe that. Having him on this show and the stuff that he said, the fact that he dreams about Bethpage, he gets it. So he's going to have our guys ready. I'm pretty nervous about it already. These fucking Europeans are a problem.
They're a very good squad. They're an absolutely very good squad. They're deep. They've got really good camaraderie, of course. But USA, even though they lost the last one, still I'm putting that team out again with no issues. I'm happy with that team. I'm happy with the squad. We've got a lot of firepower. We're at home. They're going to have a lot of juice behind it. I'm going USA all day. I think they're going to win. They're going to win in pretty big fashion, honestly. I just think you got guys like Scottie that's going to just they're not losing. They're not getting embarrassed again. They're too good.
I've been seeing people hop on my prediction that there's going to be a physical altercation at Bethpage Black. I want to make it clear that was my take first. That's mine. All right. I predicted, and it's probably going to build momentum as we go. And it's maybe not going to be the most, the craziest take of all time, but that's my corner, that there's going to be a shove at Bethpage Black. That's mine.
Maybe John Rahm, maybe John Rahm being in the shoving category with some unruly fans.
100%. There's going to be something. I guarantee it.
Do we think, this is one of my questions for this year, do we think Bryson DeChambeau and or Brooks Koepka will be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team this year?
I think Bryson will be.
Okay.
One of them will be, yeah. And the good money's on Bryson. I agree, yeah.
Because we had Brooks last time, right? I think he was the only live guy. I think Brooks was on the squad, and that was the year that he won the PGA, and he almost won the Masters that year. So we've done it before, but I think he qualified on points as well, so they didn't really have much of a choice. I can't remember. He was right in the bubble. But I think we might have a couple. I really do. I think we could have a couple of those guys. And I was even looking like the European team. They're definitely going to have Rahm. They're going to have a couple guys on their team. So if anything, the live and the whole deal is getting a little bit closer. We've also got TGL is about to start. So the day that this podcast comes out, TGL will have its first ever event. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern, right down the street from a one Trent Ryan, who was there just a few days ago with Jersey Jerry trying to get the hole-in-one, which looked like just an absolute grind. I know you were there the entire time, Trent, so you got a little TGL connection living down there in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I slept in the arena. I took a little nap in the TGL arena while we were there. Jerry and I both took a nap. Jerry was snoring his face off while taking a nap. The facility is great. The technology there is unmatched. It's unprecedented. I think people are going to be blown away by that. We've talked a lot on this podcast about, what's going to make this league actually go. And I think, they've got the arena covered. They've got the technology covered. It's just about what the players are going to do with it. Are they going to be into it? How competitive is it going to be? I'm excited to see how it all shakes out. I mean, we put out that YouTube video of the first look and our first swings at TGL, and it's got like 500,000 views in less than a week. So people are clearly interested in what's going on with the TGL. It's just, I think everybody, including the people at TGL, are just curious what's going to happen once they actually start playing.
Yeah, we said it a lot during the video. We said, and even on the podcast, like, how will it translate to TV? But there's no denying that when you're actually at the facility, it's a home run. They nailed it. Every aspect of it is really cool. It's a completely different additive version of golf. It doesn't need to take away from the sport. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I mean, the some of the comments being like, golf doesn't need this. It's like, you don't know what golf needs, because golf's just going to stay where it's at. And this is just something that they're adding into it. So at the end of the day, just let it kind of run its course, and let's see how, if people gravitate towards it, amazing. If they don't, we didn't have it last year, so what's the big deal? Well, how is your life going to get impacted if this thing doesn't succeed, or if it does succeed? So just let it kind of try out, see if the players buy in. If it does well, then we have this new league that players will want to participate in and win for years to come, and they can continue to make it better. This thing hasn't even teed off yet, and they're already talking. A lot of the comments are like, they need wind and they need like hills to hit off of. It's like, well, it's not playing at Bethpage Black out in the universe. This is in their own little universe, in a vacuum. They're trying to create a new version of the game on Tuesday nights on ESPN. So, I mean, I think it's going to be cool. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how it goes. It could be a complete disaster. It could be the worst product you've ever seen. I saw they were like testing out things with like a studio audience. They were like asking people to show up to the arena because like it's part of the process when you're trying to develop a live show, like especially in Hollywood. Like they actually explain this in the flyer where it's like we need to kind of see how we're going to interact with the crowd and how some of the shots are going to work. And like when a player hits it, how are some of like the jib cameras going to go over the crowd, and how are the crowd interactions going to affect the play on the field? So they're trying to work that all out, how they're going to broadcast to the TV. So at least they're trying stuff out. You know, night one's not just hit and record like we would do and just hope and pray. So I'm hoping for no disaster.
It's funny, you know, I said we're in year 9. Like Brendan Jonesy and all the production guys will tell you how night and day it is for us filming videos now versus what it was 5-6 years ago. And if you just look at how much simpler our whole thing is, obviously we don't have to weigh the crowd and TV and 75 cameras and a screen and a rotating green. And no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, there's obviously a learning curve. There's a process. There's an efficiency that comes to it, a smoothness, the whole deal. So, yeah, I know they've done all their trials. I expect it to be – I'm excited. I'm just generally excited. Whether that people want to make fun of that or not, I really don't give a shit. I'm excited to watch it. I've, like, got it circled on my little calendar tomorrow of, like, make sure 7 my time that I'm at a television that's got sound because I just want to see how it goes. Seeing it in person was awesome. No clue if it's going to translate on TV. I hope it does. But I'm expecting there to be some mistakes. I'm expecting it to be, at times, a little bit sloppy. Tonight is the night that it technically comes out once the show is out. And it's just like people are going to do some boneheaded things too, I think. Like they're just not going to be used to either the shot clock or the setup, or they're going to forget to aim in a spot or whatever. I mean, you can watch an NHL game. Guys do boneheaded shit all the time. There's all kinds of crazy bloopers of guys like fucking shooting at their own net and stuff. Like you fuck up all the time in normal stuff. So now they're trying something completely different. There's definitely going to be some sloppy moments, and I'm sure the internet's going to harp on that, us probably included. But overall, I'm fucking pretty goddamn excited. We're going to have Fitz, Fowler, Xander. We're going to have Wyndham, Shane Lowry, and Ludwig are going to be out there playing against each other for the first match. I think it's going to be fucking fun. I'm just pretty excited to tune in. Golf Twitter will be going. It's on ESPN. You know, it's just going to be an event. Is pretty much what you're looking for. You're looking for an event. Trent's back.
I'm back. I was done with the lag. There's something wrong with my computer.
The silences in this show. We're starting this year off with like a weird. There's a silences after each sentence. I mean, I don't know if people are picking it up. We're 60 minutes in this thing. We got low energy, but we don't have low energy. There's something going on with the silences in between. You know, when Riggs stops talking, we look to Trent and he just stares at us. When Trent
I'm
stops
nervous
talking,
about my computer. That's where my silences come from. I'm nervous. I've got this whole setup. I live in a house now. I'm in Florida. I've got 5G internet. And when I hook up to my fully desktop computer, I lag when I do a podcast, and then I switch to my laptop, and now it's clear as day. I can see. The problem with the other computer is when I'm talking, I can't see you guys reacting, and that's a problem for me socially. Like I just need to see how everybody's doing. I'm constantly checking what's Riggs doing, what's Frankie doing. And when I'm on the other computer, you guys are frozen. As soon as I start talking, it freezes. And I'm like, oh, these guys, first of all, they fucking hate me. They don't want to listen to me. You know, the demons start. And
keep
so
the silences
now with this,
in, Bush. Keep the silences in when you
no, do not keep them in.
Bro, this has been a bad one, man.
We cannot do that.
I want people to feel it.
On my side, how bad has this one been?
Yeah, there's been a lot of silence. A lot of like delay.
You know, because we're all like conscious of like trying to keep the conversation going, and I get a lot of constructive criticism sometimes, and they'll be like, "Oh, you're stepping over people. Let them speak." You know, and I like to read what people write to me, especially we have like diehard fans. Like one guy wrote, "I've listened to 700 episodes of you guys. Like just like sometimes just take a beat, let everyone get their stuff in." So I've been pretty conscious over the last couple episodes of trying to do that. And so after Riggs just spoke, we kind of just looked towards Trent, and it's like, Trent, give your take on the TGL. And then he just stared at us, and it's because the internet is off, but it is hard to do it through a computer. It really is difficult when you're not in the same building to like look people in the eye and get the conversation going. Our best podcasts are obviously when we're in person, which we will be doing a lot more of as we hit the road again. We're all home. We're all, this is the holiday season. This is kind of our off time. So it's just kind of a grind to get the conversation going. So that's just kind of
that was
inside baseball stuff.
I'll take the blame on those silences that people are not even going to hear because
they're not going to hear them.
Take them out. But because I was just like, I'm all screwed up with this computer situation. So, but I'm now on my laptop. Everything's good. I'm seeing, look, Frankie's smiling. Riggs is smiling. This is good.
Smile.
Good. Like,
great smile.
All right. I'm back. No more silences. I apologize for that on my end.
There was one. You might have to keep one of them in. I think it was right after. I think it was right when you came back, and Riggs was like, "I'm really excited." And then I looked up to my top left corner, and Trent just went. That's how long the silence was right there. It's fucking nuts. Anyway, we're gonna get through it. We're battling through it. The technology's a bitch.
Yeah. When are they going to figure it out where it wasn't AI or something or virtual reality? I mean, supposed to be like we're all sitting in the same room. I still very much feel like Riggs is in Scottsdale, Frankie's on Long Island, and I'm in Florida. Very much so.
I think we need Meta or like one of those ones where those Meta Quest glasses. Mm-hmm. I think Zuckerberg has created a way that we're all sitting at a virtual boardroom. So I could actually look to the right and I would look at your little animatronic guy. And as you kind of moved around the room, like I'd see, Trent's reaching for a water, like within my space. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How about this? It's been 75 and sunny for the past week. Everybody move down here. Just do it. Just get down here. It'd be way easier. You guys can come hang out at my place. There's places to rent around the neighborhood. Just get your asses down here. It's fucking 19 degrees on Long Island.
I ain't never fucking leaving here. Also, I got a baby room. I got a baby room on the other side of this crazy wall that I'm starting to work on, which is actually
I got an extra room. Baby can stay in there. It's fine.
I enjoy now doing handy stuff. Shout out to my father-in-law. My dad, hardest worker of all time. Italian restaurant. We're celebrating 70 years, by the way, this year. We have a great logo that we're coming out with. And he's just not the handiest guy ever. He's the kind of guy, he'll spray paint things. It's like, if there's any sort of nick or anything that happens on the wall, he's just like taking a brush and going over it. It's horrible. He is the self-proclaimed worst handyman of all time, somehow, some way. My father-in-law on the other end, incredible. Just worked in HVAC his whole life, just knows how to like maneuver things, and just is one of those guys that just like knows how to fix something, right? You knock something on the drywall, he's patching that thing up, he's spackling it, he's painting it. It's like it never happened before. He'll throw a little something on there. It's always just I'll throw a little something on there. You'll be like it never happened. Or if he's hanging something on the wall, that ain't going nowhere. All these little one-liners. It's like he's the guy. That ain't going nowhere. You can hang on this thing. That's like a number one. If he hangs a TV bracket, that ain't going nowhere. He loves that shit. You find, you find a stud, that shit ain't going nowhere. Caulking, we'll throw a little caulk on it. Caulk fix everything. We'll throw a little caulking on it. There's a little space between there. We'll throw a little caulking on it. But I've really learned a lot from him. So like we've got the nursery and we're doing this little design, like these like kind of like wood panels, and then you're gonna put little frames behind the crib, and it's fun. Like we went and got the wood. I know what to get now. Like I know how to do it, kind of like I can go to Lowe's and I can like get wood like a man and pack up my car and bring it back and throw it in the garage and get ready to saw it, to wet saw it. And I can piece out the panels, and I can get the liquid nails ready and find out where I'm going to be puncturing these holes, and I'm going to be putting little wood putty on them. I'm going to sand them down. I'm going to paint the wall. Like, I already spackled yesterday. Like, I'm ready to rock, man.
Yeah, you did. Fucking right, you did.
So I'm excited. I enjoy it. It's like there's something therapeutic about it. You're just working like on a house. You're using your hands. You're getting your fingernails dirty. It's nice.
I'm in that boat right now with cooking. One of my resolutions is cooking more.
Oh, man.
And I've been doing a little bit of that. And it's very similar where before I ordered everything. I spent probably $20,000 a year on ordering food straight to my house, 3 meals a day on a pretty standard program. But now I've been going to the grocery store. I buy everything I need. I'm still not great at it. There's trial and error. I burnt a couple of things, set the fire alarm off. But like there is therapy to it where you're doing something. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, I made this, as opposed to, somebody made this at Taco Bell and they didn't give a shit about it and they threw it in the bag and then I ate it and it was whatever.
Hey, whoa. Taco Bell.
It's not shit on
I love Taco
Bell. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
No,
I want to go here in this.
That's sour cream, man. Undefeated.
I love Taco Bell, but I'm saying you don't get the payoff you get like when you cook the food, because you're like, oh, I made this and I know who made it, and because it's me, and it tastes a little bit better. The cleanup still sucks. I fucking hate that part. It's the worst part. I did all this work, I made the food, and now I got to clean up this kitchen. I hate that part of it, but every other part of it, I think it's similar to what you're talking about with the building and the being a man. You sort of feel better, and it's therapeutic while you're doing it.
I'm with that.
There's
with
no doubt.
decorating. I like to decorate stuff. You know, I just like to hang stuff up. I think I'm a little OCD about stuff too, so I like to measure out the frames and exactly where to put the nails or the hangers in the wall and the whole deal. I think there's I put a podcast on or some music, not on the phone. You're not really out and about. You're not drinking. You're just sort of just working on something in the house. I think there's a niceness to that. Trent, you got a go-to chef or like a recipe book or somebody on YouTube that you sort of emulate with your cooking?
So I do need to find my YouTube chef. I actually, that was my goal this week. One of them, where I want to find somebody I can just watch that it makes it simple for a stupid guy like me. But I bought a Betty Crocker cookbook. It's got 100 recipes in it that I'm going to start running through. I want to try to make one new thing maybe a month and just sort of start going through that cookbook. So that's where I'm at with it. But I do, and I'm sure I'll be able to find, I know Chef Donnie does a great job. There's all those people out there who have these YouTube channels who are just like, hey, if you want to learn how to cook, here you go. We're kind of living in the golden age of that. I'm sure you can find it with your house too. Everybody's doing the DIY, and they'll, put up a vlog, and it's like, here we go. So no, I got to find my person, and probably will be Chef Donnie, honestly.
Dude, everything you want to do in the world, there's been a YouTube video about it. It's so
true.
bizarre. Someone's done this. It's so unsettling. Like someone has done this 8 years ago. They're living this problem that I have right now. How do you patch up the drywall around a socket? It's like something so specific, and someone has been in that room 11 years ago and uploaded a grainy video on how to do it. And I'm standing there in this room.
Unsettling, not the word I would use. I would use comforting. I would use the
No,
opposite
to
of that.
me, it's like the world is just so predictable. And it's like,
brother, that's it, man.
Everyone's going to be in the same situation no matter what your life brings you, no matter how many years go on, you're still going to be out there trying to find out how to patch up a hole in the wall. And someone's already done it. Like, you're no different than them from 11 years ago. It's just like time has really not changed that much. That's the unsettling part to me, where it's like, are you serious? This isn't a new problem that I just came across. Someone's been dealing with this, standing in the same spot as I was.
Dude, you
guy's probably
change.
dead.
Yeah, well, that part is true too. But you've been prone to neuroses. You're a bit of a neurotic person. You should know that everything has already happened. Like, this nail that I got to put in this wall. It's not the first time somebody's going to do it. You're having a kid soon. You got to be like, oh my God, this is the scariest fucking thing in the world. Then you look, fucking 100 billion people have done this before.
Good point.
You just gotta look at the positive in it, not like, oh, this, I'm just doing the same thing everybody has done before and I'm going to die. You got to be like, oh, people have done this before. It's not that scary.
There is a beauty to it, but there's definitely a little bit of a eerie thought to the fact that, dude, there was definitely someone in the year 2500 BC that was in Egypt that was walking around his house, touching things up and being like, I got to patch this shit up. I got to 100% with fucking putty or whatever the hell they had back then, doing the exact same shit 4,000 years ago.
Yeah. There's really just so much you can do. Unless you're Elon Musk
right.
And you want to fly rockets around, you're the only guy that can do it. There's really only so many things that are available for you to do. I guess that's the point where it's we can't really break the code. There's just kind of a rule book that you just got to go by. Maybe it's just anxiety or something. Maybe something's just been happening to me. I mean, I'm obviously an anxious person, especially now with everything kind of revving up. You got I'm a child and I'm having a child, so that's a little nerve-wracking for sure.
Love going to live events. Nothing better than going to live events. Kind of what everything is for. It's what it's worth it. You get out of the house, you go have an experience. Game Time. We love Game Time. We have for a very long time. Now with their brand new Game Time Picks feature, they're making it even easier to get to a game. Game Time Picks simply filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time's the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Use it. Go to events. Go to concerts. Go to games. It's what everything's all about.
Really is. We talk in this show about there's not really many things to do. Not many scenarios you can be put in that's different from hundreds and hundreds of years ago till now. And going to live events is one of those unique experiences because you're seeing people be talented and use their own creativity, whether it be music or on the field or whatever it might be. So make sure you go experience this life. This is why you make money, is to go spend it and make memories. You can't die with it. You can't take it with you. You got to go do things. Stop sitting on your couch. The clock is ticking. Come on now. Like, go out and enjoy it. There's a game in town. There's a show in town. There's a concert. There's something going on. Go live your life.
Go to a couple this year. Make this the year where you're just going to go to like 3 concerts that come near you. These people, these musicians, these performances, they go everywhere. Just, put it in the Game Time app, put where you're at. It'll give you the shows that are closest to you and pick what you want to go to. You got to go to shows. They're so much fun, and you got to use Game Time when you do it.
How about Peter Pan?
Oh,
Peter Pan tonight at the Phoenix Theater. Look at that. 7:00 tonight on Game Time. I just opened up the app.
It should enter your like scrolling, like you the thing that you like sometimes I'll just go on like Zillow and just look at houses. Like Game Time should be the kind of thing that you just are always just reminding yourself to look at, because these concerts, they come and go. You really do, because they come and go and you're like, oh my God, I can't. Like when Nate Bargatze came to freaking UBS, I didn't see it. I'm like, how did I not see that? Like, you got to just always check it. Make sure it's part of your little routine.
And we're going to help you out too. You just download the Game Time app today. Make sure you use our code, which is FORE. That's 4. And you're going to easily score great deals with the new Game Time picks. What time is it? Game Time. Remember, download that Game Time app and use our code FORE.
The other day I was driving and I freaked out my wife. We were just driving home from Boston. We went to Boston this weekend to move our cousin into Northeastern, which, by the way, like moving a kid into college, Boston has to be, and Riggs obviously experienced this, but has to be the best college town, because I think there's a ridiculous percentage, like 30% or something like that of the city is all college kids. So it's
awesome. It's fucking awesome.
One of the most major cities in the world is all just college kids.
I think it's the highest concentration of college campuses in the country, like in whatever amount of space.
Dude, because you think of the big ones, obviously the Harvards and the BCs and the BU and Northeastern, but then like within Northeastern campus, there's another institute that's like right next to it. And there's another college, like there's so many specialized colleges, and it's just, I can't even imagine being in that city and going out and knowing where all like the younger kids are going. And it's just like the vibe is probably through the fucking roof, and they're all kind of intermingling from different schools and different backgrounds. And so we were moving them into a dorm, and just like in this like dorm, like this suite dorm with like 4 different doors in it, and one kid got the corner room overlooking like the park, and he got the one looking at like the brick wall. And it's just like, bro, you guys are in it right now. Like the testosterone was flying. Like these kids, their first night of college, like, are you fucking kidding me? We are ready to rock. I'm like, what are we doing tonight, fella? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing tonight? But instead we went to, get dinner with, my in-laws. And it's just, life has kind of changed there. But really cool experience just watching someone it kind of got me ready to be a dad almost. Like I was with our, it's my wife's cousin. So, but it's her cousin's kid. So like younger cousin. But their cousins are sending their child off to college, and they're like our favorite people ever. And watching them kind of like deal with that, I sat there next to JJ. I'm like, I'm going to be in this car in 18 years, hopefully, right? And hopefully my kid goes to college. That's going to fly by. Like, this is insane. I pulled up in front of the dorm, and we unloaded the car, and I'm like, this will happen to me in just 18 years. That got me going. And then the anxiety started to go. And then I told my wife, this is to finish the story. We were driving down like I-95 or something. I'm like, what if my eyes just shut off as I'm driving? Like, what if my brain just shuts off while I'm driving this car? You ever get the feeling that your vision is just going to go?
No.
So we're driving 80 miles an hour. I'm like, what if my vision, like I'm staring at the road right now. What if my vision just goes, we're done. And then I kept thinking about like, how am I going to keep the lights on my eyes? How am I going to keep looking?
God bless Hannah. We get a good dose of it. We spend a lot of time with Frankie. We travel with him. We do this podcast twice a week. We do a ton of videos with him, and you're just like, all right, your eyes aren't going to shut off. Let's try to figure this thing out. And then she's got him 24/7, ladies and gentlemen. That's really something. So my response to that story is God bless Hannah.
Riggs, that college town though. Wow. Really good stuff.
It's awesome. I will say there's a couple of times like the fall when everybody gets there and you still have a week or two where classes aren't that serious because you haven't had to make decisions, whatever, and everyone's just there to fuck around is so insanely fun. The weather's still great. And then the springtime when like baseball starts in April and people go to Fenway and almost like there's certain game times at Fenway where you go and it's almost like a meeting of all different colleges where you just roll in. I just looked it up. There's 64 different colleges and universities within a 30-mile radius of downtown Boston. It says there's
insane.
36 colleges and universities within the actual Boston city limits. And Boston's not that big of a city for anybody who knows who's been there. You can walk from one side of it to the other in like a fucking hour. And so, yeah, when you're there, dude, it's just kind of a hotbed. It's exciting. Also, I was just thinking about this right now. The whole concept and feeling from a parent's vantage point of just dropping your kid off at college must be so insanely scary. Like this person has lived under your roof, under your wing. You've taken them everywhere throughout their entire life. They had like a curfew most likely through high school at like that was as free as they could ever feel. And you didn't let them out of your sights for 18 straight years. And then you're just dropping them off into chaos. College is fucking chaos, dude. There's such a difference between these 22-year-old seniors that are about to graduate and like 17 and 18-year-old kids that are showing up. Those people are all just going to like mishmash together with like drinking. Some people have never really drank before. Like when I got to college, I had never drank before. So you show up and then you're just like, wait, I could go around wherever I want and just get fucked up. And like, that doesn't end well ever. So that's like a nightmare. And that's happening all over the place. It's fucking chaos. Like college is absolute chaos. But yeah, Boston, I've said before, like at this point, I've been lucky. I moved to Scottsdale. I love Scottsdale. There's like 2 other cities in the world that I would probably happily agree to move to. One of them's Boston. One of them's probably like San Diego or that Carlsbad area. But Boston is fucking awesome. I love history too. So you've got all the history. It just feels, it's such a cool city. It's such a good sports town. I fucking love Boston. Boston's great.
Great place.
It really is. And just the juice in that city, even on a January weekend, like it was a freezing cold January weekend, just a lot of juice in the city. Going out in the North End, the Italian restaurants are flying, just like really good stuff. And that's not to say that New York's not like the greatest place in the world, but it's just tighter. It's small. It's just a small little neighborhood. And the college aspect, very fun. I didn't go away to college. I went to Nassau Community. I sometimes call it UNC, if anyone asks me. But I went to Nassau Community College. And at the end of the day, I didn't have that experience. I went to 5 classes. I didn't even get my associate's degree, which obviously that shows. I did have one class with this guy, Dr. Brown. I've talked about it. This guy, Dr. Brown at the Nassau Community College, changed my life. I was just going to fucking class. I was going and I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I'm just going to work at Borelli's for the rest of my life. I don't need to go to class for that. I need to go learn how to make dough. That's what I got to do. I had this class. It was like a marketing class. This guy, Dr. Brown, was our professor. It's the only guy I remember. I don't even remember my high school teachers. And we had this one project where we had to make kind of like a we had to make a brand, and it could be a team. It could be a clothing brand. And you had to kind of just like make the logo and the story. So I made a minor league baseball team, and I made them the Charleston Sailors. And I made a logo of like a sailboat, and I incorporated all the colors of Charleston. And I learned how to make a logo and like a color scheme. And I did a video. I learned how to make a video on like Premiere on like, I did from the band Styx, come sail away. And it was like, and I made and I got like, I did a rendering in a video game of like a minor league baseball, like MLB The Show. I went in and I screen recorded a baseball stadium that I had made. You can make a stadium. And I did this whole entire project, and I kind of like built up this minor league baseball team, and it taught me how to edit a video and make a Photoshop of a new logo. And I was so obsessed with it. And and when I went to go present it, I was so into it. Like I was like, and then I'm like introducing the Charleston Sailors, and I hit like play, and the song started. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, this kid really worked on this thing." Other people made like a tank top brand. And they're like, I haven't. It was like a Photoshop of like, a model wearing a new shirt with a little logo on it. I fucking did the whole thing. I did concession stands. I did everything, and I think that really ignited something in me. I don't know what it was, but it's like I want to create different shit. I want to be a part of like things like that. And I don't know how that translated to Barstool, but it definitely helped. There was some
sure.
groundwork in there. So I guess my lesson there is, I guess school is important, even in the classes that you don't even know why you're taking them. You might be able to find something.
I didn't go to college very long either, so Frankie and I are weird examples of this. But professors are more important than classes, in my opinion. Like if you find the right professor who really stokes that fire, like you're talking about, like I had a couple of those, and I didn't graduate from college either. So what am I? But like the classes to me didn't matter. It was the people who actually gave a shit and were like, oh, you're actually kind of good at this, and like this is something you should maybe pursue. The people who do that when you are a young adult are super duper important. And you can advocate for college. Obviously, it's a smart thing to do if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. There's probably people out there who are like, oh, I don't want to go to college for this reason. I would say if you do end up going to college and you find the right professors, they can launch you in a direction that will change your life.
High school too. Everyone has their favorite teachers.
Absolutely. High school as well.
I had mine in high school. It was my sophomore year, and it was our English class. And this man, he just took writing so seriously, and he was really, really good at teaching. And I remember like the first week or maybe the second week of school, and he became famous for this, I found out. But in real time, you're thinking like, oh my God, this first time it's ever happened. But he took out a $20 bill. He asked someone in the class. We only had like 12 people or so in each class around like a round table. Took out a $20 bill. He asked somebody like a quiz-like type question based on the reading the night before. That person got it wrong, and he walked right over to the window. He crumpled it up, and he just threw it out the window. And he was like, that's what you're doing with your education right now. And we learned to just love him. He was funny. He was tough. But he taught us, like, he would always talk about the power of writing. He was always just taught us how you can structure sentences, how you can emphasize sentences a certain way, how paragraphs are supposed to be structured so that you'd have a long sentence and then a short one, and how much more powerful that would be. And if it weren't for that, I would have never got my job at Barstool. I would have never gotten the job writing blogs. And I know Dave or Trent was like an English major for a while too. And it's like literally without that, like I could sit there writing blogs being like the same shit that I learned at like a prep school about Shakespeare and all that. I could apply to these dumbass blogs about like what's viral on Reddit right now. And it legitimately worked. And it was fun. Like I enjoy the shit out of like writing and structuring sentences and being able to like drop a line at a certain time. And if it weren't for that teacher, none of this would have happened.
Mine were the same way. I would say 3 of the 5 teachers / professors that changed my life were English professors. And it's because I liked reading and writing, but also because they were always the weirdest. They had long hair. They read Shakespeare. They had weird experiences. They were always my favorites. And that's probably why I ended up being an English major. But like, yeah, bottom line, find the right professor. And if you are a professor or a teacher, you can change people's lives. Like the way you teach a course is so much more important than the course itself.
We had this one teacher, this guy, Mr. Sullivan, in like 6th grade. He was teaching social studies, and he loved the American Revolution more than anybody. He was like a 75-year-old, like 300-pound guy, big boy, old. I've never seen like an old man that big before. Huge, took up the room. Like I could still hear the metal, like reclining chair that he would sit in when he would sit, because once he was down, he couldn't get up. But once a year, he would come in full American Revolution like outfit, like a colonial outfit, and he would take an old school gun and shoot it out the window, and it was with just gunpowder. And it got so bad that one day he shot it, and a woman was walking her like her dog, and like he got like fired, and like the whole program was done forever. We never learned about, like I had learned 5 years later that he was no longer with the school because of this thing that he had done. And there obviously wasn't a bullet in there, but he would pull a gun out and lean it outside there and pop, the smoke would go ever. And it's just like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
I mean, you do that today, you're going to prison.
Oh yeah. It's nothing to joke about for sure. But that happened. That's a full on fact that he did that. But also just like that got us into, that's a teacher that cared so deeply about a subject that like we couldn't wait until he dressed up as a colonial fucking veteran,
soldier,
like walking a soldier.
That's funny.
I know you mentioned earlier, Frankie, of having that moment of like, I don't have to do this. I could just go back and just work at Pirelli, work my thing. And I remember, as cool as college is, when you get dropped off and everything, that first month, 6 weeks was the greatest shit ever. And then about 2 months in, it got real. It was like I had like a week and a half straight of like I had to write 10-page paper that took me like 3 days on something I hadn't fucking read a single word about. Then I had a test where I barely passed or basically didn't pass. And then I was like, looking, all the guys I'm playing hockey with, they're like up at 6 a.m, working out until like 8:30, skating for an hour, going to class. Then we had actual hockey practice later. Coaches fucking yelling at me. I got all these professors that I'm like taking this econ class because I think that's what you have to take. And I just remember being like, this fucking sucks. Like this, I don't have to do any of this shit. I could just go home and be like, it would be so much easier. My friends think I'm kind of cool back home. I could just go home and do like pretty much anything. And I had a professor, Dr. David Ager, who ran the sociology department at Harvard. He kind of like saved my life academically, but he was like, you don't have to do all the shit that you're not that into. Because again, I was taking like econ and I was thinking you got to work on Wall Street and all that. And he just kind of embraced me and a couple other guys too. We became sociology majors. But Dr. David Ager at Harvard is the nicest man on the planet. And it is like Trent said earlier, it's like professors, not necessarily classes. And he just kind of took me under his wing. There were like double digit maybe sociology majors at all of like Harvard at the time, maybe like 15, 30 people, something like that. And there were many, many, many more by the time we graduated. And it was largely because of this man and a couple other people like him. He was just the best. And he opened everybody's mind to like, you can study whatever you want to study. And it was like, oh shit, okay, that's kind of cool. And again, if it weren't for him, it's like, I might have just packed up shop and been like, nope, I can't handle this shit. I just cannot handle this stuff.
Totally. It's really hard to see when you're in the moment. And I don't think there's very many middle school or high school kids listening to this that are going to gain any knowledge from our experiences. I mean, I know Captain Khan said that we're not a very child-friendly podcast because we curse too much. So thank you for your service.
Fans, maybe siphoned off over the last
we cursed. He says it's just really hard to listen to in the car, which I'm going to be more conscious of as well. See, constructive criticism. I definitely let the F word fly a little bit too much here and there. And if I'm going to be a father, so like I'd want to maybe listen to our own content in the show. I'm not saying I'm going to change who I am because that's just who I am. I'm, Northeast Italian guy. We're going to be cursing a lot. That's just part of our vocabulary, but I'll try and dial it back a little bit. I'm sure we've been letting it fly since I've said this now. I'm sure there's been 15 of them in this show alone. But if there is anyone that is listening to it, it's amazing that you can, when you're in it, you don't feel it. But then when you look back, there were certain things that piqued your interest and you're like, I don't know why, but they're all sort of connected. Like I'm talking about that Dr. Brown guy and making a logo and making this whole entire marketing scheme around it. And then I think back to middle school, I had a marketing class and it was my favorite class to go to because we learned about logos and we watched Mad Men and like how they advertised cigarettes and all of like, and how they did subliminal messaging in certain advertisements. And then we would look into logos and like all the hidden logos within logos, like the Washington Wizards logo. And like, I remember like running to that class and being like, I want to learn about how they're doing this, like the color schemes and why that color makes you want to buy toilet paper. And I'm not even in marketing, but now that you see it, like when I worked at Borelli's, like we were making menus and we were doing like beer lists and I was making them like all color schemed and like for the winter they'd be like a lighter blue that make you think of like you know what I mean, like there was always just something around it. And then now with Barstool Golf, like we're always making new merchandise and logos and the color schemes and behind the greens, like the aesthetic of how we're going to shoot it. I don't know how they're all connected, but there is something in there that I liked that more than writing and reading, or I like that more than doing math. There was something visual about it where I'm like, I can grab this and make something.
I'm with you. There's something with guys like us with marketing because I was big on marketing too. I love the reading and writing part of it, but marketing was a huge part. I love the class where one of the lessons was we would listen to or we would watch TV commercials on mute, and you would watch sort of how they're, because if you watch something on mute, movies, TV shows, all of it, you watch the physical nature of it and you see what they're trying to do more so. When you have the sound on, you get distracted by what's actually going on. But if you watch something on mute, like watch a TV commercial on mute and you'll understand what they're doing. And I was fascinated by that. And there was like a 6-month span where I would just watch things on mute and I was like, holy shit, that's why that beer commercial is doing this. That's why that Tide commercial is doing this. Like that type of shit is just, it's fucking cool, man. And you either into it or you're not, but like I'm with you on marketing where there's something about that and that translates to this job where you're like, I'm super fascinated by all that stuff.
But now fast forward 20, I mean, I don't know how, like 20 years ago. I mean, I'm not trying to talk, this is ages. Like 30 years later, like at the end of the day, now you like, think about that. You were in middle school or high school, and you're watching, and you're into this class, and now decades later, we're in a group text talking about what kind of thumbnail we want for a YouTube video. That might seem far stretched to connect them, but they're not at all. There's something about it where we're like, oh, I think that actually works, and this works for this platform, and this type of tweet works on this image. This is going to get the most eyeballs on it. We should wait for this day to release this. It's all just like kind of connected somehow, some fucking way. Some way. Gotta stop doing that. Some way.
I got a counter. The counter from January 28th, 2020 was when that guy emailed us. The F word counter was Frankie 46, me 27 that day.
Gosh.
So we got to be better at that. But anyways,
To broaden this to connect with maybe a few more people, there's little breadcrumbs that if you're interested in something, go towards that, as opposed to just being like, oh, I got to take this econ class, I got to take this math class, if you're into math, that's great. If you like, oh, I love numbers, this is going to be great, then follow that breadcrumb. That's what Frankie and I are saying, where it's like there were points along the way that we only recognize now that we look back, but in the moment you can try to find those things where it's like, I'm really interested in this, and then just follow that. That would be
for young adults right now, right? Like young adults that are out of school, there's something that you had that was in school that you can think back to. That's like, what did I really enjoy, and where should I go after it? So
there's probably so many people who are just stuck in a cube job, and that, you're doing what you got to do, but there's probably something in your past, your recent past or your distant past, where you're like, I really like that, and just do it. Just try it. You only get to live once. You got to try it. You have to.
I got a great recommendation for you guys and for everybody listening out there. Have you guys ever heard of the podcast Acquired? It's called Acquired, like acquiring a business. I stumbled upon this just because my algorithm on Spotify or whatever. And it's these guys. They're a little dorky, which is kind of what you want in these kinds of guys, but they do a phenomenal job. I assume this is a pretty big podcast because the way they kind of talk about it. But they do, I'm looking 3.5 hours, 4 hours. They do podcasts where they do deep dives, and they tell the whole history of like mega companies that you've heard of. So the three that I've listened to so far, IKEA, I listened to Mars Inc., the chocolate story, and our boys at Hershey are prominently featured in that, as you can imagine. So it's like Mars bars and Hershey. And that one especially, dude, it goes through there's like a huge section of it of all of the marketing behind a bunch of the Hershey's Kisses, M&Ms, the slogans that they come through, melt in your mouth, not in your hands, like all of the marketing type stuff that dramatically like changed the history of candy and chocolate. And then in the IKEA one, like the entire history going through the Swedish meatballs, and like the fact that they opened just one showroom in Sweden, but you couldn't even actually buy something there, yet there was a line like out the door that tens of thousands of people were coming from all around Sweden just to go to the showroom so that they could then like
IKEA though, man. Like as a homeowner, it's like fucking put it together, dude. God, maybe 50% more put together.
And then I listened to another one too, the Starbucks one, and all the marketing that goes behind that.
Wow.
Highly recommend. The podcast is called Acquired. And it, again, they go through the one I'm currently listening to is called it's the Console Wars. And it's basically the whole history of Nintendo. And then like Nintendo going up against Sega, and then Sega kind of changing their whole, or basically falling off. And then bang, all of a sudden like PlayStation getting involved, and then Microsoft getting involved. And like Nintendo sort of like dropping the ball. They had this huge market share, then nothing. Then all of a sudden, like Pokemon, and then Pokemon Go. And you're like, dude, Nintendo blew it. They refused to do mobile games forever. They just like their main thing was like, we create the hardware and we create the game. They had never, ever created a game where the controller for that game wasn't built by them. So they refused to do mobile because they didn't build the iPhone. So they're like, no, the way that you operate that game is totally against our ethos. And then they came out, finally, they used their IP to do Pokemon Go. Remember how big culturally Pokemon Go was? It took over the fucking world. Like people were, whatever. And it goes through, it's like 3.5 hours about this stuff. And it's really, really good. So highly recommend, because all you guys
Atari, the very first video game, that's a brand, right? It wasn't just a game. Atari was like the brand. How did they not become like the monopoly of video games? You like invented it.
It's great, like hearing how these companies drop the ball and how they just certain ones didn't foresee kind of the future. And they go through like, remember when they came out with like Nintendo GameCube and everyone was like, what the fuck is this? And while the
I
other
had one of
companies were
those.
doing like PlayStation, I had one of those too, and it sucked. The discs were like that big for no reason.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
like non-compatible to any other console.
And when you had a
wait.
PlayStation, you're like, why am I playing just like there was a cool nostalgic, even as a kid, you wanted to play a Nintendo type of game, even though PlayStation was out. You're like, oh, I also like my Nintendo games. And there was something about it where it's like, why am I wasting my time playing this when I have a really cool thing right to the right of it that I could just plug in?
Right.
And it's way
Right.
better. It was just like a worse version of all the games that you would play.
Dude,
Blackberry, that movie Blackberry is really good with that. Did you guys watch
gotta
that movie
watch that.
Blackberry?
I didn't, but I heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's amazing. But them going up against the iPhone, wanting to stick to the BlackBerry model is really like they could have done the iPhone, but he's like, no, people want a button. It's like, no, they don't, dude.
It's kind of what
They
Nintendo
want the
did
track,
forever.
man.
Nintendo was like,
Yeah.
no, people want a console. And then they were like, no, they kind of don't. But then they came out with the Switch, which I know you've got one of those, and like how popular that was. And
I
how
love
they
the
kind
Do you
of,
remember the
dude.
Nintendo Wii?
yep.
Yeah, of
Wii,
course.
Yeah, of
Wii
course.
bowling.
But now the Switch has just taken over Wii, right? I mean, like the Switch is Wii. Like you could play Nintendo Switch Sports and you can do the whole thing. You could play tennis.
That's true.
But Wii was huge. If you
Massive.
went over to a cousin's house that had a Wii, you're like, these people are fucking rich.
And it's wild with
Wii
the
bowling
Switch.
was so fun.
They're talking about how like for years and years, basically Nintendo was holding strong and stubborn, being like, you guys are wrong. Like it's not just this mobile bullshit. These games suck. And everyone's like, no, everyone's doing mobile. You got to do it. And then they come out with the Switch and they're like, correct. Like they've sold 100 million Switches. Everybody loves the fucking thing. So it's
I
good.
love
It's
the
really
Switch.
good. I know. The Switch.
I
is
love-
nice.
Super Mario. I don't know why I changed that
Whoa.
for you guys.
That was great.
Usually
I don't know
say
why
Mario.
I did that. I need to just be who I am. You know, there was a part of me that
I-
said say Mario so that you don't get slaughtered, but it's Super
Oh.
Mario, man.
It's not, but I want you to be yourself.
Super Mario Tennis is the best game I think ever made. You get 4 people playing tennis,
Oh my
2-on-2. Dude, we were playing over this break. It was like you could play with a 4-year-old and you could play with a 50-year-old. It is so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
We played for 7 hours. It's like you play for all day long. Who's got next? And you're just constantly rotating. You wait for the things to charge up. You're playing so much fun. Yeah, no, this is a nice little. There is lessons in this, even though we're a bunch of morons. But there is. I mean, you know, this hasn't really happened by accident. You kind of have to like fall into a bunch of different pockets throughout your life to get you and propel you into a certain way. I don't think that like my parents or your parents ever saw us having this as our jobs or our careers, and this was never supposed to be our path. But somehow, some way, everything that we had done kind of made us end up here some way. I guess that's the story with everyone, whether you're an accountant or a doctor or a nurse or a pizza man. Somehow, some way, something leads you there. Ours just happened to be, luckily for YouTube videos. I don't know. It all just kind of like the Red Sea just kind of parted away. It's like, you guys can actually do this now. This is a new job.
Yeah.
It's cool listening to this stuff and hear about companies, and then you're right. Like then we're making decisions on it. Like we run a brand. We run,
Yeah.
you know, we sell merchandise, we sell products, we like entertain, we manage relationships with clients. It's like weird to like hear about all these people doing stuff and think about it and then be like, oh, we kind of do stuff too. That's fucking cool, I guess.
Also, even within our own world, like we were the first ones to really bring like the pro side to the YouTube side, where it's like doing matches with pros, and the 4-man scramble was like, that was innovative, quote unquote, in YouTube golf space. No one had ever seen it. That's why those videos exploded. Rory McIlroy won club challenge against a bunch of guys that shouldn't be, you know, hitting golf clubs in front of anybody. Like that was like, what are you talking about? Tiger Woods. Oh, we got Tiger Woods in a video. It's like doing all that stuff is like, when you look back now, Grant Horvat has Tiger Woods today. If you go watch that video with the TaylorMade and the new driver that's out, like that is as big as it gets. So yeah, I mean, it is crazy when you're in it, you don't really see it, but hopefully in 10 years, when you look back, you know, when we're on our 20th anniversary, you're like, wow, there was some crazy stuff that happened that now when you look at the landscape of YouTube golf or wherever golf is, even just golf in general, we had some little part in it, some little hand in it.
A little bit, for sure.
Yeah, which is cool.
Oh, and by the way, on the day that this show was coming out, TaylorMade's brand new driver, the Qi35, which we were lucky enough to hit, and we just got.
Oh, yeah.
I just got my driver, 3-wood, 5-wood of the Qi35. First round using them. I had 3 birdies. I had a par where I actually holed out from 50 yards. That wasn't probably my best hole of all time, but it worked out nicely. And I broke 80. That's the first round that I used them ever.
Bang.
The Qi35. It looks great. It's very nice golf club. Very, very nice golf club. It's available.
Yeah,
Today it's available.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it at length and in the coming days and the coming shows. But make sure you go check it out. We obviously talked about Grant being in that video with Tiger Woods. They kind of talk through the driver as well. He gets a driver lesson. So make sure you go check that out at noon Eastern today. Just really good stuff coming from TaylorMade. We don't want to harp on it too much because we know that you guys are just going to go check it out. You're going to be seeing us using it. We're going to be talking a lot about it all year. Qi35 is now available. If you thought the Qi10 was good, and I know we do this all the time and we keep talking about the next one, they do just quite simply keep making it better. And we have a whole video coming out explaining it. It's amazing. All the guys on tour are using it. You can see them in the videos. Colin Morikawa went 32 under in Hawaii using it. It's as good as it gets. So, I mean, go check it out. It's on their website right now. Qi35 TaylorMade. Really, really good stuff.
Tiger Woods won the PIP again.
Yeah, he did.
Tiger Woods, first place, PIP,
Scottie
$10 million.
Scheffler, think about that. So he won the PIP. I think it's the last year they're doing it. They're doing the equity thing going forward. Scottie Scheffler had the most interesting year you can really have as a golfer. Won 1 billion times, got arrested, won the Masters. Like, very, very interesting year. He was certainly the star.
Had a baby that hits all the gossipy type, stuff.
Right. He hit pretty much everything you can hit. Had such an interesting year and still finished second to Tiger Woods in the PIP. It's unbelievable.
Guy won the Masters, right? Like the biggest thing you could probably win. He won the Olympic gold medal, so he probably hit a bunch of international, headlines out of nowhere. And it's like second to a guy that we just mentioned. We couldn't believe he even appeared publicly 5 times last year. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he wins.
I mean, we have said for the longest time that when the PIP was created, I mean, it was when all the live stuff was going on. So they're trying to figure out, the tour was trying to figure out a way to give the top guys on the PGA Tour money as opposed to just like giving them $100 million like Liv did to their guys. So they were like, we got to figure out a way to give our top guys money. So essentially the PIP was created as a way to give Tiger Woods money. So in that respect, it's working. He won 3 out of the 4. I think Rory won 1 of them. Like, they were just trying to give Tiger Woods money. So in that respect, the program worked. But Scottie Scheffler had such an interesting year. I'm actually stunned that Scottie didn't win, but it just goes to show that Tiger Woods is the needle forever and forever will be while he's alive.
I mean, the virality around Scottie had to have eclipsed and surpassed Tiger Woods this year. Had to have. He was everywhere.
Dude.
He was on CNN for like weeks talking about that jail scenario. Somebody died at that event. It was a global conversation. We woke up that morning thinking Scottie killed somebody.
I remember that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how Scottie Scheffler is being taken into custody after an apparent death. It's like,
at Valhalla.
It's whoa.
As the number 1 ranked player in the world, coming off a Masters victory and a Players Championship victory.
Whoa,
like what?
He won the Players. That's right.
Stretching in the jail cell, and how is that not the PIP?
Finished second in the goddamn PIP. How is that possible?
But Tiger Woods hit a drive from his knees that we facilitated and we put on our YouTube channel. Had to help him.
It was on Good Morning America.
If old Eldrick wants to break off a piece for the boys for helping him, he probably won't, but that's okay. But I mean, yeah, I'm with you, Frankie. Virality of Scottie Scheffler in 2024 was through the roof. No way Tiger matched it. I think they released the metrics or like sort of how they judge people on the PIP. I don't know what category he would have eclipsed Scottie in, but he must have done something. He's just Tiger Woods.
They're just like, he's Tiger Woods, man. He's Tiger Woods. He wins. Victory.
Did you guys watch the Golden Globes last night?
I did not.
No.
It's really good.
Didn't.
Oh my God. How am I forgetting her name?
Nikki Glaser?
Nikki Glaser was incredible. Just shredding the room. And it was so well done. Like, didn't piss off anyone, but really went after some people and really, really great job. Probably one of the best hosting jobs I've ever seen at an award show. And she nailed it at the roast also, Tom Brady. Like, she's just so good.
She's really good at those things, yeah.
Dude, she nailed her opening monologue last night. Multiple times laughing out loud. But they had a new category, which is so smart and should have been around for so long. But it could kind of go can be compared to this, where it's like there was a best movie, obviously best motion picture, and then they had best box office and like ticket sales type of movie. I forget the actual naming of it, but it was basically like most viral movie. And those are like the Fast and the Furiouses, the Wickeds that are not going to win best motion picture. Vin Diesel came out and announced that first award, and he was great, dude. He's
That's
like,
perfect.
finally. And he was awesome. And he walked out and just goes, "What up, Rock?" or "What up, Dwayne?" or something like that. And the Rock like laughed at him. He said family a couple times. It was
They got beef. Rock
they
and they got
dude,
beef.
Vin Diesel walked up, stared at the Rock, and goes, "What's up, Dwayne?" and like puffed his chest out. And then they showed Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He kind of just looked up and smiled. And then he went on this amazing speech about like how these movies change cultures, and there may be like certain themes or one lines or just characters that have literally changed, culture. Harry Potter's and Star Wars and all these movies that won't win like best movie, best motion picture, because you got a bunch of snobs talking about acting and screenwriting and everything. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
Well,
Dune,
total snobbery.
like just got the people going. Wicked had people freaking showing up, in costumes, singing,
Clapping in the theaters.
What was the one from last year? I feel like there was one that took over the world. Oh, Barbie, Oppenheimer.
Well, Barbie and Oppenheimer were last year. Yeah.
Yeah, Oppenheimer ended up winning though. But yeah, no,
Great
it's it was cool. So I think like if they had a version of that for golf, Scottie would have won like biggest story of the biggest guy of the year for sure.
Most like the most eyeballs award, or like
the
most
most eyeballs award for sure was on Scottie Scheffler. 100%.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you.
There needs to be a secondary, like you won, just like you were the most viral golfer by far.
I don't know how.
Then Bryson,
Bryson's
there too. Bryson was pretty freaking viral, but not nearly as big as Scottie. Not nearly as big.
No, I don't think so either. Scottie was just so consistently there. Like Bryson was there a couple times throughout the year, and obviously when he does the YouTube, that stuff helps. But Scottie was like every month at least he went pretty damn viral.
Dude, Bryson's house challenge is as viral as you can get in golf. That however many days it went, like 20 something days, that was going so far in TikTok world, like hundreds of millions of views. That is as big as like, you know what I mean? Like Scottie winning the Players, I don't even think reaches like a fifth of how many people Bryson reached with that freaking house challenge, man. That house challenge was like, you had grandmothers being like, did he get it? Like it was everywhere.
But if we're throwing down like the trump card of that, it's him getting arrested.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's bigger.
Yeah, they all saw it. They saw it. That was huge.
No one on earth doesn't know that Scottie got arrested last year.
Right.
Like, you have to, everyone knows that.
Yeah, they may have forgotten, but when you reminded them, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I always use this as a metric, but my mom has no idea that Bryson hit over his house for 25
Really?
minutes.
Didn't see it?
No chance.
Didn't come across her desk once.
No.
That
She would
this
have
nice
no
man is
idea.
hitting golf balls over a mansion with a lot of windows.
She probably doesn't even know he has a YouTube channel. So that if we're putting in like what she knows about it, but she just reads the headlines, and like the Bryson stuff, obviously big in our world and huge. Like if you're even on the internet for 5 minutes and you have golf in your algorithm, you're going to get the Bryson over the house. But my mom is just like, yeah, I remember when Scottie got arrested. That was the fucking craziest thing that happened all year.
Probably didn't make like the New York Times like front page. You know what I mean? Like it probably didn't make like the Apple News front page thing when Bryson got it. But Scottie getting arrested was probably 6 of the 10 top stories.
My dad's in the same boat. No clue about the Bryson house thing. He would be like, "Why? What?
Right?
Like, what do you mean?" And then
over his house.
Yeah, like that's
my dad as a golf. I wonder if my dad as a golf guy even knows about that, because he doesn't consume internet stuff. But anyway, yeah, Scottie should have won. We're arguing that Scottie should have made $1.5 million more dollars than he already made. But like, just for the principle of it, I think I love Tiger Woods. He's the GOAT. He's the needle. I understand why they just want to give him. They want to just hand him a $10 million check. I get that. But if you're talking about who was the most interesting golfer of the year, it's Scottie Scheffler.
Mm-hmm.
Credit to Shane Lowry cracking the top 10. I saw him in there.
He was the one I was most surprised by.
Me too.
Wow.
It's got to be the Rory, when him and Rory teamed up and they won the Zurich, and they were like drinking. Yeah. They were drinking beers in the tent afterwards during like the post-tournament concert. I think that really helped him. But I was surprised to see Shane Lowry in there. I love Shane Lowry, so good for him. Colin Morikawa, I remember he a couple years in a row finished like 11th or something. I think he had a couple tweets about it. So he was in there at like 6th place. And then, there are a couple, like, I'm surprised Wyndham Clark cracked the top 10. Happy for him. I think he deserved. We've talked about it on here. Good looking cat. Won the U.S. Open in a handful of tournaments, or 3 or whatever tournaments over the last couple of years. He had the lip out at the Players Championship. That was huge. But good for him cracking
We
that.
had him on recently and talked about the lip out, and he was like, "Oh, thanks for bringing that up." There's got to be a part of that. I think the lip out gets him in the top 10. I think if there's no lip out, he's not in the top 10. I really think so.
He did a lot of videos too. He came on, did our channel, he does like Bob's channel. He's like, he gets it, I think, more than a lot of the other guys. I feel like all the top 10, Shane Lowry is surprising at 7.
He's
like
way
above,
up there
like,
too.
And the one that is just the only reason he's up there is just because he is who he is, Tommy Fleetwood. Like, the guy can't get a win, but is just the most lovable, huge golfer. That guy's career is so interesting. It really is. How big of a star he is without getting a PGA Tour win is outrageous.
Yeah.
He crushes it on the DP World Tour and all of that. Like, he has international wins, right? Like 6 or 7 of them. I mean, the guy does
finished
pretty
second
well.
at Shinnecock. Remember that when he shot like 63
Finished
in the final
second.
round?
Well, that whole year wasn't he up there with the majors? That whole year when he finished second at Shinnecock,
was.
He's always a
and
great.
up there.
What about the RBC Canadian? Remember that when he?
Yep. And the one big thing too was the Ryder Cup when it was him and Francesco Molinari. Remember they like teamed up the whole time. They were like Bollywood and they were just dusting everybody. So his stock was really high, but he has 0 PGA Tour wins, which is fucking crazy.
He's our favorite guy ever. When people ask us who our favorite guy is, it's always Tommy Fleetwood. It's not even close, really. He's so nice. He gets the jokes. He understands. He wears our freaking shirts. And he's wearing our shirt in that Ryder Cup video, isn't he?
It's awesome.
He's wearing a
Common Man
Country Club hoodie the whole time.
The whole entire series. It's insane. The whole entire documentary. It's like, what are we talking about that this guy has not won?
He's
T3
ninth in
at
the
the
world.
2024 Masters.
That's right. He's 9th in the world.
In PIP or as a golfer?
9th in the official world golf rankings. Now, the live guys get screwed, but I don't know that there would be many live guys ahead of him. I mean, he's 9th in the world.
We've had these debates on, I don't know if this really falls into it, where we had those like from the galleries where it's like, would you rather win like one Masters or just be like a career accumulator of money and just being in like a top 10 world rankings? Like, Tommy is just an accumulator of money, but just can't win. Like, which would you rather be? Would you rather win one major and never be seen again, or the Tommy Fleetwood, where you're just always in the mix? You're winning the PIP. You're constantly top 10ing. You just can't hoist a trophy.
He's got $20 million in tour earnings on the PGA Tour.
And he has to have a lot in the European
29.4 million on the European tours with a total of 49.7 million. He lives in Dubai, where I think that you don't even pay tax. I think they pay you to live in Dubai. So I mean, he's doing great, dude. He's got
like 50 million.
He's made $50 million
on the golf course.
That's just on the golf course.
And he's a huge TaylorMade guy. They love him. He's in every single freaking ad. He is the most willing person to do any sort of promotion or advertisement or gimmick or anything. He loves it. He finds it to be funny. He's so good. He's TaylorMade's like favorite guy too. They love working with him. Like, you could just tell.
That's all you need to hear. That's all you need to hear. They always say behind the scenes, whatever. They're like, "Oh, our favorite guy that we root for is Tommy Fleetwood. He's the best."
Yeah. Adrian wants Tommy. Like, they all want him. Every other TaylorMade athlete wants Tommy to win. He's the best. Hitting the mini driver all over the place.
Is Adrian he caddy for Tommy?
Caddy
is that
for
right?
him. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
At Hilton Head, I think, the event we played.
Yeah, because Tommy's caddy had that heart surgery.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the tall fucker. That guy that went after Dan. Remember that? That was great. I was going to beat up Dan.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, everyone out there listening as well. Most New Year's resolutions start in the kitchen, whether your resolution is to cook healthier, save money, or just stop eating microwave burritos. Hexclad has you covered, especially our great friend Trent Ryan, as a young man who's, again, talks on this very show about how you're trying to cook more, about how you're trying to, whether it's learn different recipes, eat healthier, make the entire process better. It's enjoying. You deserve it. It's time to leave behind the delivery fees and that scratched up pan that you've been clinging to since college, because you're probably heard of how Hexclad's completely revolutionized pots and pans by combining the performance of stainless steel with the convenience and easy cleanup of non-stick. I think you hate cleaning up, don't you, Trent?
I do hate cleaning up, but this is exactly what I need. As a starter, as I've just sort of begun my journey of cooking, I need pots and pans. I need the right stuff. Like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm so new to all of this that it's like, what do I need to get that's going to be a good starter for me? And Hexclad is the place I'm going to go. I need all this stuff because my cooking, it's going to go out the whole year. I'm going to start cooking, and I need the right accessories and the utensils and the pots and the pans, and Hexclad, that's what I need.
Wait till you hear about this. Hexclad's innovation doesn't just stop there. Their Japanese Damascus steel knives are as sharp as they are tough, perfect for leveling up your meal prep. Their sleek pepper mill lets you season like a pro with precision and style. Gordon Ramsay might be the toughest critic in the entire world, and he used Hexclad both at home and in his Michelin star restaurants. New year, new you, new cookware for a limited time only. Our listeners get 10% off your order with our exclusive link. You head to hexclad.com/foreplay. Support our show and check them out at hexclad.com/foreplay. That is hexclad.com/foreplay. Make sure to let them know we sent you. Bon appetit. Hexclad's revolutionary cookware. Let's eat. That is hexclad.com/foreplay. Have you played Pick 6 from DraftKings yet? If you have not, what are you waiting for? You better get on it. The playoffs are here, and it's time to get going. Time's running out, so you're going to want to get involved in football. There's going to be a time very soon where it's going to be over for you. You're going to be upset that you missed out. This is the time to go. As the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like nobody else. Play for better payouts on Pick 6. It's easy, very easy to get started. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. Select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat, like which QB will throw for more than 2 touchdowns, or which running back will rush for less than 100 yards, or which linebacker will have more than 1 sack. It is that easy. Pick 6, available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. And DraftKings making it even sweeter for first-timers. New Pick 6 customers play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits.
Yeah, you got Wildcard Saturday coming up. The playoffs are starting, so just make that. You download the app. Make sure that you're kind of scrolling through there, picking all the things that you think are going to happen. There's really nothing better than gearing up for a big day of football, getting all your picks in, getting your bets in. For me, it's really just revolutionized football watching for me, because now I'm invested. The Jets obviously are the worst team that has ever existed in football. I shouldn't be as invested as I am in watching football, but because of Pick 6 app and DraftKings Sportsbook, for me, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to watch all these games. I'm ready to see how my players that I pick do and just get involved. That's the only way that you're going to really have fun watching football at this point, especially if your team stinks.
You can win more cash on Pick 6. Just download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use the code FORE. That is code FORE. For new customers, you play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Spieth, I like Spieth cracking. He's like 5th, and it's just amazing. Spieth cannot really play that way. I feel like he wasn't really around or in the mix much, and just 5th place in the PIP.
Jordan Spieth, sneaky, one of the richest golfers of all time, who's had one of the strangest careers.
Really
like you're
has.
saying, this year, what did Jordan Spieth do? And maybe I'm just not remembering what happened, but he didn't do a ton. But he's so popular, and he gets money. He gets a ton of money. He's got a ton of Under Armour money every year. At least when he was certainly active, he was like, they put out that Forbes list for sports. He was like top 4, and it's like, what? Yeah. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him.
He's
a lot of money.
One. You're right. He's stunning. He doesn't make an effort. He does a great job with his charity. It seems like he does a lot of foundation work. He has a lot of events. He's always promoting different things for his foundation, but he doesn't really make an effort to be in the limelight in terms of YouTube golf or interviews or doing, like, you're never really seeing Jordan Spieth doing anything aside from playing in tournaments. And then he had the wrist surgery, and it's just like, how the hell is that guy staying in just like the mainstream Pip media, all that.
Him and Ricky are pretty similar in that regard, where it's like I don't really feel like Ricky does a ton either outside of just kind of play golf. Obviously, he rocks the stuff that's very noticeable in terms of the style and the gear, but it's not like he's out there going viral for interviews. I think he's done like one YouTube video where he played with maybe Grant or something, but it's not like he does a ton of that stuff. He sort of just plays golf, shows up to the events, and is the most popular dude in the world.
Speaking of Grant, I got a funny tweet. That now all the Grant fans are going to know who Tiger Woods is for that debate that we had. That Grant was more noticeable on YouTube than Tiger
good.
Woods. I mean, Tiger's just dominating that now. He's like, oh yeah, there's a conversation about this. I'm going into that little corner too.
Oh, that's great.
I wish Spieth was in the mix more. When he is around and playing, he's maybe the most interesting guy to watch. And I'm not the first to say that, but it's watching him. He'll spray a drive and then he gets up and it's a bit Phil-esque where it's like, where is this round going? And then he taps in on 18 and he shot a 67. You're like, how?
That British Open,
so interesting.
That British Open he won against Matt Kuchar is some of the best theater on the back nine in golf history. I mean, he's hitting it into the driving range. He's making bogeys, then he's making eagles and pointing at the hole and telling Greller to get the ball out of the hole. He's got $80 million in career earnings. Jordan Spieth does. 80.
I mean, he was as hot as you can be when he started.
I know.
We want Jordan Spieth.
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We want Jordan Spieth in a match. How about that? I want to play Jordan Spieth. Can we start to like flood this guy's stuff? Go play foreplay. Can we send out the cavalry? We've been dancing around Jordan Spieth since Bethpage 2019 when he said love y'all stuff. Like
people still say that to me.
6 years later, can we get Jordan Spieth on the Foreplay podcast video? Can we do that this year? Can Jordan Spieth give us 4 hours since he loves all stuff? Can he just play us in a match? This is happening this year.
You're saying flood his channels. I don't think he's on those channels.
He doesn't have channels. But don't make it like aggressive. Just be like, you love y'all stuff. Go play the Foreplay guys. Would love to see you play the Foreplay. We'll do it around his charity, his foundation. We could do it before one of his. Dude, I'm always seeing him promote this thing. He's always doing huge concerts, raising a ton of money. We'll do that.
We'll raise a bunch of money.
We'll raise a bunch of money.
It'd be fun.
You know, I'll get wrist surgery just to be like his boy.
You need wrist surgery.
I do need wrist surgery.
Fusion surgery for Tiger a couple years ago. I would have done that in a heartbeat.
And Spieth seems like a great guy. Like I would love to, have him in a video.
There's no one I want to get in a video more. Obviously, you know, like the Phils and the Tigers and all that. But Jordan Spieth would be so great. He's such a needle mover for no apparent reason, just from him being Jordan Spieth. He's in the freaking pit. You haven't heard about Jordan Spieth in 18 months.
I can't believe he's up there that high. That's awesome. But yeah,
what is he, 4 or 5? Like it's
fifth.
Absurd.
He's
fifth. God.
Listen, I'm saying that I don't know if we have. I'm sure we have that kind of pull. We might, because I think this group on here. Did we change the Tour Championship?
Yeah,
oh my God! Did we change the Tour Championship?
We changed the history of golf and the trajectory of it because of that conversation. Bracket, baby, bracketology.
September 2024. Right. It was after, right? Or was it before? It had to have been
probably right after.
Right after. The Tour Championship comes and goes. Scottie Scheffler starts with the lead, the whole entire deal. You know how it is now. It's all spaced out. If you're leading going into it, you start 10 under. Everyone else gets 8 under, 6 under when it goes on and on and on. They basically set it up for you to just win the Tour Championship. And for us, there's no juice there. And we talked about it at length. We have all these clips of us talking about it in September. And then we get into a conversation. Danny Rapport was on the podcast. He's kind of saying there's no juice and we need to kind of like figure something out. We somehow stumble upon the idea, which is no groundbreaking idea, but it is one nonetheless. It's an idea nonetheless. It's a March Madness college basketball style bracket. They're doing it now in college football. All these big leagues are starting to go bracket style. I mean, even in the NFL, you have like a bye and you play a wild card. It's like every other sport does it. There's brackets. And for some reason in golf, we just assume that because you had a great year, you should win the championship. No sport is like that. You win the President's Trophy in hockey, you historically lose in like the first round. It's like a curse to be the best regular season hockey team right now. I think the Washington Capitals were like the last team in however many decades that have actually accomplish that feat of like really dominating the season and winning the Stanley Cup. The Rangers last year won the fucking President's Trophy and now are like the worst team in the NHL. They're blowing the team up. So at the end of the day, just because Scottie Scheffler dominated the regular season does not mean that you just hand him the trophy at the end. There should be a way that he could get upset in his first matchup. There needs to be a bracket style. I'm getting messages being like, but then you run the risk of it being Billy Horschel versus Wyndham Clark in the championship. You're saying that has more eyeballs? May I present to you the Diamondbacks versus the Texas Rangers World Series? May I present to you sport, right? Like, this is sport. You know, you're saying that Billy Horschel went on the run of a lifetime and beat 7 guys on his way to the PGA Tour Championship. At the end of the day, I'm okay with that. And to compare it, nobody's watching Sunday when Scottie Scheffler's got a 15-stroke lead at the Tour Championship. So there's nothing to compare it to. So of course you move it to a bracket style.
Agreed. You're also going to have great matchups, even if you do end up with Billy Horschel versus whomever. And I love Billy Horschel, but I understand what they're saying. It's not going to have a ton of juice. You're going to have great matchups to get there. Billy's going to have to have beaten Scottie Scheffler or Rory McIlroy or something in order to get to that matchup, which will be fucking great. That means the Saturday morning matchup when Rory plays against Xander is like must-watch television for their season to remain, to play for $20 million, you know?
And you can give Scottie, you give him a first-round bye. That's how everybody does it. You just don't play the first round. You're already into the second round.
Yes.
Like that's the hand holding you give. You don't give him fucking 20 strokes in front of the field. Now everybody's confused about, wait, where did he start and what's happening? No, you just give him a bye. You know, the Detroit Lions, they got a bye now. They won last night. Boom, you earned it. And now we go.
One plays 16 in the NCAA tournament, and sometimes it could happen. You know, like there's a chance a 15 beats a 2. There are blowouts. There are come from behind wins. There are shocking, performances. That is what sport is. And if they can figure it out, it will be so much better. And there is no debate on the other side of this that it's not pure golf, because starting a guy at 10 under par is not pure golf either. You're handicapping a professional tour event. That is bullshit. So at the end of the day, let him win. He's also winning like 9 events leading up to that. So it's not like he's not getting anything. The guy won $60 million playing a PGA Tour. You're like, well, you're not giving Scottie anything for the great year he had. He actually just like won all the events and won all the money. You're giving him a ton of stuff. You're giving him a lot of stuff.
Right.
He's actually getting more than the other sports get for winning throughout the year. You know?
Right.
The Boston Red Sox don't win money for winning the regular season. What are we talking about? They get a banner that they get to hold up. I don't know. I think, well, here's what I do know. We had this conversation in September, and now there is a headline saying that they're in talks, quick, swift talks, to change the PGA Tour Championship to a bracket style event. So whether they heard us remains to be unseen. We are on a council. I would say that's what I would say that's like example 1A.
And this isn't just an idea that they're like playing with. They are saying it might be implemented as soon as this year.
That's right.
They're also giving
it. So this is happening.
Yeah, they're giving it to the media too. Like they didn't have to, you know. I think Gabby Erzik, like she reported it. A bunch of other people confirm with their sources. So they're giving it to the media. They're like they're saying, yes, this is absolutely something that we're considering. So yeah, I hope they do it. Tour Championship doesn't really ever have any juice, or has very, very rarely had any juice, except for when Tiger Woods won it in 2019. That was pretty exciting. Or 2018, I guess it was, when him and Rory were coming down the last hole. But other than that, it doesn't really have any juice. So they have to do that. Shout out to Hideki Matsuyama. The guy shot 35 under par. And shout out to our other TaylorMade athlete. I know we talked about Tommy a lot. Colin Morikawa, who is a very measured man. We said he gave one of the best speeches I've ever heard after he won the Open Championship, like he wrote that speech 2 weeks before. He was asked about it. He finished second, and he had just a great response. And he said, with all due respect, fuck 35 under par. Very, very funny response for him to go out there and shoot. I think he shot 32 under, and he shot the 4th lowest score in PGA Tour history and didn't win the event. Hideki was just unstoppable. Colin, who was like one off the lead going into the 3rd round, shoots 11 under par and is still not leading the tournament, and then goes out and shoots another, whatever the hell it was, 6 under or something in the final round, and still doesn't win the golf tournament. So Hideki, just unstoppable, that guy. Hideki, too. I was looking him up. That's his 11th PGA Tour win. He's got some impressive ass wins. Obviously, the Masters. He's also won the Phoenix Open twice. He's won the Memorial. He's won at Riviera, which is a major championship style golf course. He's 4-1 in his playoff career on the PGA Tour, and he's 2-0 in his playoff career on the Japan Tour. So if you're a DraftKings Sportsbook kind of guy and you see things starting to get pretty close down the stretch, that guy's got a hell of a record of being really clutch under pressure, and he's the winningest Japanese-born player in the history of the PGA Tour.
And will still react like he hit the worst shot of all time, and
Every
it'll
time.
fly down the fairway.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster watching Hideki play. It's great. I mean, he lit that golf course on fire, as the PGA Tour does every single year. 35 under is. I like that they go 35 under there, because then when the tour lights up TPC Deer Run, I can be like, well, it's not it's not 35 under like they did at the Sentry. I like having that, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't the greatest leaderboard in the world, but having those two guys up top really, really helped. And yeah, shout out to Hideki. 11 wins. That is more than I would have thought, but that is an incredible resume already. How old is he?
I think he's
Low
one of those
30s?
guys that's
I'm gonna
younger
guess
than
that
he
he's
looks.
32.
I guess he's 31.
32.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's a prime example of how brutal this sport is. And we've talked about it with Alistair a couple of weeks ago or last week, where it's a sport that you could play as good as humanly possible and still lose, because you have no control over the person that you're competing against. It's just them versus the golf course and you versus the golf course. And you got to hope that you just somehow played it better. Colin Morikawa couldn't have played any better, but then you got Matsuyama who did. And he couldn't play defense on him. It's just, that's like, you tell Colin pre Thursday, you're gonna shoot 32 under this week. He's like, write that check to me. He's calling his wife by the pool. It's just like, do whatever you gotta do. We're coming home with cash, winning cash, and he loses by 3. What are we talking about? Wasn't even
Homer
close. Got
tweeted.
blown
Homer
out.
was like 60. What did he say? What did Homer say? 67s are no good anymore.
Yeah,
No good.
he did.
That course is outrageous, dude. I want to play that course so bad, because it looks
do
like
I.
every single swing you can just go for it. Every tee shot you can swing as hard as you can, because the fairways are a million miles wide. And then every second shot on a par 5 is like a downhill off like a teed up nice fairway grass that you can just launch as hard as you want. And even if you go right and left, you still are right up there by the green. I was watching these guys, these grand, massive holes. It's like, of course, Colin Morikawa is going to hit this driver off the deck as hard as he can. It's going to go up on the green in 2. Like, these guys can hit it. It seems like there's nowhere you can miss hit it out there. It looks like the most fun golf course ever.
It is incredibly inviting. It looks like the 17th hole is 548 yard par 4. And these guys were hitting driver flip wedge into it. They're hitting their drives like 400 yards down the hill. And then they go play 18s, like almost a 700 yard par 5, 678 or something it was. And half the field was hitting an iron into the green. Like, I watched like Hideki hit
insane
iron on 18. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So
balls are flying.
And they're at sea level.
Yeah.
Right? They're like,
right.
however tall, however high that island is the only sea level is the only elevation that they're at. Like, I'm looking at the ocean the whole time. They can't be that high. It's like, so it's not like the ball, it's not like they're in Colorado. So yeah, it looks like a very fun course. I'd love to get out there.
Oh, it's snowing outside right now.
Wow.
Did you see
snow
that,
in January is not as cool.
No, yeah, right after Christmas. Did you guys see Cam Davis and Will Zalatoris hit each other's balls?
No.
I saw a headline, but I didn't actually see really what happened.
They just hit each other's balls up by the green. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it happened.
Were they right next to each other?
I think they were like 10 yards apart.
That's surprising.
How does that
I didn't
happen?
watch the video of it, but I read all about it. And they each hit each other's balls, and then they were like, oh shit, we hit the wrong balls.
How the hell does that happen? That's unbelievable.
It's got to be like the only time it happened. It's not going to happen again this year.
Was it Spieth? What did Spieth do one time? He played from the wrong tee box at like the Hero World Challenge or something. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
A couple of years ago.
See, that's what makes him interesting. He'll play from the wrong tee box every once in a while,
makes him real interesting. And
he'll hit from off a literal cliff. That's what makes Jordan Spieth interesting.
I looked it up real quick too. Jordan Spieth hasn't finished better than T25th since before the Masters tournament, and he finished whatever that was, 5th in the PIP. So yeah, he's got the juice.
Got the juice.
USA World Junior team. Shout out to the USA. Won the gold medal back to back. World Junior tournament, if you're a hockey fan at all, is so incredibly awesome to watch. and especially it's like bigger than the Super Bowl in Canada, and Canada hasn't medaled 2 years in a row, which I love Canada. I love the Canadian people. They're nice. But when it comes to hockey, we have a bitter rivalry. So I love that we've won 2 in a row, and Canada didn't even medal. So I love that. U.S. team won in overtime. They were doing, I think, 3-on-3 in OT, which was fucking nuts. There were just chances
20
after
minutes.
chances. Finnish goalie was standing on his head. But ultimately, the U.S. team won. All the videos going viral, them doing their little chants pregame and then celebrating afterwards. So shout out to the Team USA kids. That was absolutely sick.
Yeah, it was great. I watched a bunch of those games because the Islanders had 2 guys on Team USA, and really, really just amazing games when you're playing for your country like that. And the World Juniors are such a great event. There's so much history, and obviously Canada had won for years upon years upon years, and now USA is really starting to give it to them, winning back to back. And then they play in Freebird after every goal. It was so good, man. Like when they scored that game-winning overtime goal, and then they're piling onto the ice, and Freebird is blasting through the arena. That's the most American thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So, dude, you want to know something that's crazy? I heard like through whispers when I was at Northeastern that their hockey rink there is like the oldest hockey rink in the world, which blew my mind that it wouldn't be in Canada. It's like 1901 or something like that. This hockey rink at Northeastern is the oldest building used for hockey.
No way.
The oldest barn?
Can we fact check that? Like, how is it not a place in Saskatchewan?
Historic multi-purpose arena in Boston, Massachusetts, currently owned by at over 120 years old, is the world's oldest multi-purpose athletic building still in use, as well as the oldest arena in use still for ice hockey, the Matthews Arena.
So maybe it's the oldest one that's still in use, but it's not the oldest. Well, it wasn't the first. It can't be the first.
No way it's the first.
But it's the oldest arena still in use. It's like if we were still using the freaking Coliseum, they'd be like, it's the oldest barn.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Not as sexy, but still cool.
Still cool.
Yeah, we'll take it. You know, old. We like history. History's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have, fellas. I think that is all I have for the show today.
I don't know if I say on the show, Gladiator 2 is like the worst movie ever, like the worst casting I've ever seen in my entire life of Denzel Washington.
I'm a little bummed because I wanted to see it, but now he said it stinks.
Just didn't make sense. Love Denzel. Love Denzel. Training Day.
Best.
Like as good as it gets. Not a Roman like emperor. It's just like
I think we talked about it off mic. We weren't on, but you were saying
really bad.
You were saying, yeah, it's like Denzel in Training Day and Gladiator 2. And I was like, that sounds like the greatest movie of all time.
He just like, there's some times where he forgot to say, like, use an accent. Like he was using like a little bit of an accent. And then sometimes he just forgot to do it. And the way he was like holding his cloak. And there was a lot of times that he would actually look down to see where he was going to sit because he was wearing so much clothing. It's like, you could just tell that they didn't want him to retake it. So he's just like, there's one time where he was in a real serious conversation and he's moving a lot of this like garb and he looks down twice and then sits. And this is all on film in like a major motion picture. Bizarre.
Denzel does what the fuck he wants.
Just, he didn't feel comfortable the whole time. It's just, he was there for a paycheck. It felt like, but it is what it is. Golden Globes.
Did you guys watch Carry On?
No.
Carry On. No.
Jason Bateman movie?
So I wanted to, but I feel like I fly a little bit too much.
You do. Don't watch it.
Okay. Right? Because it's about like sneaking things onto a plane and
that's all it's about.
Okay. Yeah.
I watched it and then flew the next day and didn't want to fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so specific. It's not about flying. It's about TSA agents and going through security.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole time.
I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that.
It's a good movie. I mean, Jason Bateman as a bad guy, which you don't get a ton. You get every once in a while, so he's good in that role, I thought. But yeah, as a guy who travels so much, I was just like, boy, I can't stop thinking about Carry On. I was in line being like, I can't stop thinking about this movie. So
I don't know if I should watch it then. I don't want that. I don't need that. That's why I don't watch horror movies.
It's a good movie.
I don't want to lay there and just think about
from the Batman got absolutely robbed for Best Actress in a series.
Penguin.
Yep. What did I say from Batman? Penguin. Sophia Falcone, just one of the better performances of recent times, not just this year. Just captivating every time she was on the screen, the highs and the lows, and the fact that Jodie Foster won for True Detective, which was the worst show ever. I watched True Detective each week to see how bad it would get. I hate watched it.
I remember you watching that, and I remember the conversation we had about it, and you saying it's the worst show of all time. And then I didn't watch the Golden Globes, but I was on Twitter and I saw that Jodie Foster won for True Detective, and I was like, "Is that the same season that Frankie was talking about?" Because I'm with you on Sophia Falcone. I'm a Penguin stan. I'm glad Colin Farrell won. I thought it was going to be a clean sweep. I was with Robbie Fox on that, and then I saw Jodie Foster, True Detective. I heard that was the worst show ever. And yeah, I'm pissed that she got robbed because her performance ultimately it doesn't matter. The show is still great, and so is she. But fuck, it shouldn't have gone to Jodie Foster.
That show stunk. Because I spent so much time watching it. It was so bad, and the way it ended was bad. The premise was cool, like the indigenous people, like of Alaska, and like all the crazy stuff that happens out on the ice, and the long darkness, and just the acting sucked.
Damn.
And the way that they ended it was just like, I don't even care to spoil it. It's that bad. Like a cleanup crew like found like the bad thing that happened. Like a bunch of people mopping the floor. Oh, speaking of a cleanup crew, I'll end it with this. So I had a bunch of parties here. Dude, I'm lucky to be in this house right now. I had a bunch of parties here. Ton of parties. Bunch of people singing karaoke from freaking December 18th all the way to January 3rd. Okay? So we get we have like a cleaning company that will come, once a month to just do like a couple of the bathrooms, just whatever it might be. Like if we need them, come in and do a little deep clean. We had a bunch of people like sleeping here or whatever. So we're like, hey, can you come in, clean the house, do the basement? We're going to be in Boston. We would love to come home to a clean house. We don't have to really do anything. It's an awesome little thing that we were really excited about. And we know these people, like they come pretty often. But they don't usually do the basement because the basement's kind of new. Like we just kind of redid it. So now this is like a new territory. And we had so we come home, went to Boston, some great dinners, this place Aria, and then went to this Catenacci place, I think it was called. Cantessa? No, that's Daniela's last name.
That's Daniela's last name.
Cantessa. Cantessa. That's funny.
Nobody. That's an inside baseball. Nobody knows who that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like Erica's. Like she was Erica's like assistant. Now Dave's like right hand man. Really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This place Contessa may have saw a couple of my boys that were playing against the Boston Bruins the night after. Maybe saw all of them. Maybe had some dinner with them, and then they all scored goals and won the game, which was awesome. So I might be flying to Vegas just to keep that going. Just get the win streak going. If I go to dinner, they win, obviously.
Shout out to the Blues.
So
won
we're
the
in
Winter
Boston.
Classic, dusted the Chicago Blackhawks.
Dusted the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yep,
Blackhawks really bad.
Terrible.
Just goes to show you could lose all these years and then like get all these draft picks and you're still just going to suck for a long time. It's like, what are you supposed to do to win freaking hockey league? It's nuts.
They fucking suck.
You get Connor Bedard and all these guys and you still just lose every single game. You can be the Rangers and have like the best fucking roster and win the President's Trophy and then just get the team just explodes. Anyway, so in Boston from Thursday to Sunday, drive home yesterday, walk into the house, and I'm like, okay, there's a fire in here for sure. I can smell immediate fire.
Not funny, but
on the main level, immediate fire. So I'm like, what the fuck is that smell? We're smelling around the kitchen. We go into the living room. Where does this thing come from? I walk into the basement. I go, whoa! It hit me like a ton of bricks. Just like electrical fire smell. Like, like when you turn on like a heat, like an old school heater and like something was like in it or something. It's like, when you turn the heat on for the first time in like an old house, that smell of something burning, it was an electrical heat. And I walked downstairs. I'm like, what the fuck? So we had in the basement, we had a blow up mattress for one of our cousins to sleep in the basement. And we didn't put it away. And Hannah was like, oh, they'll definitely just like roll it up and like put it in the bag. Like it's like, they're going to clean the basement. They'll just clean it up. I'm like, all right. Cause we cleaned up most of the stuff, but we left that one out. And I look over and we have like radiant heating in the basement. Like upstairs, we have like the air that comes out of like the floors or whatever. But in the basement, it's the electric baseboard heating because it's in a basement. It's in like a concrete basement. And they put the fucking blow up mattress up against the radiant heating, like almost like in the slot. And it had a cover, like a mesh cover and like a wool cover too. And the whole thing was lit in flames basically. Like, I don't know how the basement didn't go on fire. Bro, the bag is incinerated. So there was flames at one point, and they just went out.
Damn, dude.
And this was on Thursday. So, like, bro, I'm gonna show you a picture.
Man.
Bro,
look
your
at this
house
bag that was on. This was like the bag that it was in. Like that's like fire right there. Like are you seeing what I'm saying? Is it like a hard?
I'm seeing what
thing
you're
to kinda
saying. Yeah.
Like
No,
the
I can
bag's
see what you're
open.
saying, though.
Like this, the side of the bag is all just lit on flames.
I can't believe
your
fucking
house
is not burned down.
Right, your house should have burned down.
Holy cow.
Like, this is how it was up against the fucking.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Nope. Can't do that.
Yeah, they just didn't see it. They didn't see the radiant heat.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, you're lucky your house didn't burn down.
Bro, it hits one thing. I have so much wood down there, and just so like the whole thing just boosh.
Damn, dude.
And we
That's
were away
scary
for
as
a
fuck.
long time. So they did that on Thursday. That was sitting there until Sunday. Like someone's looking over this place because that does not make any sense. I'm thinking that the casing, which was on top, it wasn't in the casing, lit on fire, and maybe like the plastic of the actual bed is not flammable. So
Yeah,
maybe it just kind of just like melted onto it and just never actually lit in flames, and then it just kind of died there. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Yeah, so that was kind of a stressful moment.
That's scary.
Like walking downstairs.
Yeah, that thing should be gone.
You still got a house, which is good.
Yeah.
Huge. You still
Wow.
got a house. All right, everyone. Well, I think that's all we got. So,
Surviving Barstool. Make sure to watch that. That's back.
It's on all week. It's coming back while we're recording tonight, but another episode is already aired. So go check that out if you haven't. And then there'll be a new one tonight if you're listening, and they're just banging them out all week. Again, I know the whispers internally at Barstool are that, the conclusion here gets incredibly dramatic and heated, and it's must watch. So I'm pretty fired up to get back into it. It's been a nice little break.
Show on
Very
TV.
excited.
It is fantastic. It's fantastic. So yeah, check out
Should
Surviving
win a
Barstool.
Golden Globe.
It should.
Mm-hmm.
It should
All right.
win the viral one.
Yes, that's right.
It might for next year. All right. We'll be back on Thursday as we always are. Thank you for listening. Thank you to all of our partners. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.